Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Aarti, HOD Internal Medicine at SLG Hospitals. Today we'll talk about monsoon related illnesses. How monsoon related illnesses, as you know, we all love monsoon, we all love the rain, we love to get wet in the rain, we enjoy the monsoon and some nice food along with monsoon. We enjoy to eat some deep fried food because it's all fun in monsoon. But also monsoon causes monsoon related illnesses which are extremely dangerous. Some of them can be life threatening and some can cause a lot of disability. That means a lot of leaves that you need to take when you fall sick. So what I'm going to do in the next probably 5 to 10 minutes is tell you briefly about what are these common monsoon related illnesses and what to do about them. How do we prevent them in our own capacity? What can we do to prevent them? So first, coming to these monsoon related illnesses, what happens in monsoon is actually that the temperature becomes very, there is change in temperature. That is, there is dip in the temperature and the humidity level tends to go up. And this is a perfect environment for the microorganisms to thrive. They tend to thrive in this environment. A lot of viruses thrive and they grow. And then the water gets contaminated. Once the water is contaminated, what happens is that it tends to transmit through the food contamination, water contaminations, mosquito-borne illnesses, airborne illnesses. These are very common in monsoon seasons. So the common diseases what we see in monsoon are mosquito-borne diseases because there's water stagnation inside the home, outside the home, lot of drains, open drains, and the open drains are there, stagnated areas are the place where the larvae tend to multiply and the mosquitoes breed a lot. And once these infected mosquitoes bite humans, then they can cause host of illnesses. That is one being dengue, which we see commonly, next one being chikungunya, and then we also see malaria. These three are the very common mosquito-borne diseases. The first one being dengue. Dengue is something which we see almost every year. There is an epidemic of dengue cases causing severe disability. Usually dengue infections could be mild. This causes because of the mosquito bite. It could be a mild illness to a very severe form of illness like a dengue hemorrhagic fever, dengue shock syndrome. But whereas usually most commonly what we see is mild symptoms, these severe symptoms happens in probably less than 10% of patients. So how do we differentiate whether it's a mild disease or a severe disease? I'll give you some warning signs which you might see which can warn you that this can become a severe illness. So normally patients present with severe high-grade fevers which may last for about 4 to 5 days, severe backbone, it's also called backbone fever because it causes severe generalized weakness, severe body aches, and rarely in some percentage of patients, probably in the week 2 or after 5 or 6 days of illness, it can cause low platelets. And these low platelets can cause some bleeding symptoms. That is, in women, it can cause increased menstrual blood loss. There can be bleeding from the nose. There can be bleeding from the gums. When you brush, there can be bleeding gums. Occasionally, we see blood in the urine, blood in the vomit. These are some serious symptoms. So, if a dengue patient develops severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting or seizures or severe unbearable headaches, all this can give you a clue that they can become severe. That is dengue hemorrhagic shock or dengue shock syndrome. Like I said, these are viral illnesses. Viral illnesses can be detected by some tests. Commonly, in case of dengue, we do something called as dengue serology. We check for the antigen levels, NS1 antigen, and we also check for IgG and IgM antibodies. Usually, these tests are done not immediately. What I see most of the times, patients panic and they tend to do all the blood tests on day 1. Most of these tests take about 2 to 3 days for the antigens to be positive, whereas antibodies come positive mostly 5th or 6th day of illness. So, it needs to be tested after probably 2 to 3 days of the illness after starting. Meanwhile, what is that we can do? That is, even if you're diagnosed to have dengue fever, since it's a viral disease, there is no specific antiviral agent for dengue. So what we do is we give supportive treatment. We give treatment in the form of fluids, paracetamol, rest. One point I want you to remember is that there's no painkillers. you should not take painkillers during dengue fever. Commonly over the counter, we see that patients are prescribed, or they just go to the counters and buy painkillers because severe body aches, you tend to take painkillers. But painkillers need to be avoided because it can increase the risk of bleeding, and with low platelets it can further increase the risk of bleeding, and that can become life threatening. So avoid painkillers. You can take paracetamol, you can take lot of rest, and most important is to take plenty of fluids. Try to take at least 4 to 5 liters of fluids. Basically increase your fluid content. That will bring down the fever. It will prevent you from having dehydration, which is very commonly seen in any of these viral fevers. Another important point, lot of people have questions about platelet transfusion. The minute they hear dengue fever, they start wondering whether they need platelet transfusions. See, if the platelets are dropping, it's sort of an immune reaction. Just like in COVID, we see that the lungs are getting affected because of the immune reaction to the COVID virus. Dengue such way affects the platelets. It starts destroying the platelets, and thereby the platelets tend to decrease. Only if it is causing a life-threatening bleeding, that is severe form of bleeding associated with, a lot of bleeding associated with extremely low platelets, like say less than 20,000 or so, we tend to give platelet transfusion. Again, platelet transfusions are only to tide over the crisis of bleeding. It is not to increase the platelet counts. That is a usual myth, that it increases the platelet count, but it is not to increase the platelet count, but actually to tide over the crisis of the low platelets and bleeding at that point of time. So in dengue, what we give is actually a supportive treatment. Only in some cases when they become very severe, we may have to give platelet transfusions and other things. So in brief, this is about dengue.